everyone, and welcome back to my channel. It's been quite a long time since I've done a tutorial, but I'm bringing you one today on this look I have right here. It's of course my warm toned and blue juxtaposition with some glitter. Definitely if you took out the liner, you could wear it every day. Let's get started. First, I prime my skin with the Becca First Light primer. I love this shit. I'm going to have to get the full size. Today I'm starting with eyes, as we're going to be using a loose pigment, and so if I get any fallout on my face, I can just brush it away without having to worry about messing up my foundation or concealer. So I prime my eyes with the Wet n Wild Photofocus primer, and then I set that with the Wet n Wild single shadow in the shade Brulee. Taking the ABH Modern Renaissance palette, I start with the burnt orange and take a fluffy crease brush and start blending that into my crease, starting from the outer half of my eye and blending inwards. To deepen that up, I use the brush that comes in the palette and put red ochre in a more concentrated fashion underneath that color. With a more dense and smaller brush, I take the shade Love Letter on the outer half of my eye. You'll see also that I'm bringing it out pretty far to the ends of my eyebrow. To deepen that up even further, I took Venetian Red, which unfortunately didn't have the color payoff that I wanted. Then I just go back and blend everything out, make it smoother and more blown out. Then taking that same brush I used to put Venetian Red on, I take the Colourpop Super Shock Shadow in the shade Central Perk. This has been one of my favorites, and I probably should invest in another one if they haven't discontinued it yet. It's a beautiful dark burgundy shade. You can see I'm building this up on the outer V of my eye, and then I blend that out once again with the Venetian Red brush. This is going to be somewhat of a cut crease just on the first half of my eye, so I took the Wet n Wild Photofocus Concealer in the shade Light and take a small concealer brush. Use this on the first half of my mobile lid. This is just going to block out some of the extra color that I had there so the loose pigment has more color payoff. The loose pigment in question is from Naked Cosmetics in the shade Mother Nature. It is an absolutely gorgeous duochrome teal red purpley shade. And so I put the e.l.f. glitter primer on my eye, wait for that to get tacky like you do with lash glue, and then I pat the pigment on top of that. This pigment is gorgeous and I've not experienced any fallout throughout the day, and the lasting power is fantastic. I love this shade. Just do the same on the other eye. You'll see that I started on the lid instead of in the crease for applying the pigment, and I would recommend the former more just so it's not as messy. Once again, taking my brushes and just cleaning out any glitter from my crease. Moving on to face, I take the Nuance Liquid Foundation in the shade Light Warm, and using the Real Techniques face brush, I just take about one pump of this onto my face, dot it around, and then blend it out. I love this foundation. I think this is a brand you can find exclusively at CVS. It's from Salma Hayek, and it wears beautifully. It's not the most high coverage, but it's more natural, and so that's more expected of those kinds of foundations. For under eye concealer, I take the IT Cosmetics Under Eye Illuminate and blend that out with a small IT Cosmetics Airbrush foundation brush. To set that, I take another product from Naked Cosmetics, which is the HD setting powder, and pat that on with a Ulta blush brush. Going back in with that Wet n Wild concealer to conceal any imperfections. And to set my whole face, I use the Coty Airspun powder with an e.l.f. powder brush. To sort of warm up my face and contour a bit, I take the Ulta Cool Bronzer on this contour brush from Crown. And you can see I put this on the temples of my face, my cheeks, and my chin. And then I also take a more concentrated angled brush and etch out the shape of my nose. I also put a little bit of my Cupid's bow, which I had seen another YouTuber do, and I decided to try it just to see what it looked like, and then I put some underneath my lip to make it look bigger. And the blush that I'm using is from Burt's Bees, and it's in the shade Toasted Cinnamon. Now if you're fair like me, you could definitely use this as a bronzer instead. I prefer a more orange or brown blush. Then once again going with the Coty Airspun powder and the poof that it came with, I apply a lot of powder in the places I want to bake, and with my finger I take a concentrated amount and put it around my nose and on the tip of my nose where I tend to get pretty oily. Going back in to the Modern Renaissance palette, I take Vermeer as my eyebrow highlight. And as for brows, I use the Tarte Brow Architect. I'm going to show you how I do one brow in total, and you can see I start from the bottom of the front half and solidify that line, and then I etch out the outer corner of my eyebrow. You can see I could do the same thing on my other side. Then I'll brush through any harsh edges, make sure the colors blend. And then I take the clear gel on the other side of product. I brush my hairs up and then I smooth them out as I see. I prefer a fluffier looking brow as I have thick hair already, so this just kind of makes them look a tiny bit more natural. Going back to the eyes, I use the NYX Vivid Brights liner in the shade Aqua Sapphire, and I'm going to be lining the crease of my eye with a small liner brush. I would definitely recommend take your time with this. I got a little bit messy with it. Take it as far as you like it. You can do a design on the side of your face, or you could keep it shorter like I am for a more wearable look. For my lower lash line, I take the NYX Full Throttle Shadow Stick in the shade Find Your Fire, and then I blend that out before it sets with the same brush that I used for Love Letter. And to diffuse that even further into my face, I use the NYX Prismatic Shadow in the shade Golden Peach. You can also see I'm using that to line my waterline, which I don't recommend just because it's not meant to be in that area. For the inner corner of my eye, I take the Colourpop highlighter in the shade Over the Moon. And I also applied that with my finger because that's usually what you get the best color payoff with. To tightline, I am using the Urban Decay 24/7 Glide On Lighter in the shade Perversion, which is just a black. After I dust off my bake, I put on the Makeup Revolution Vivid Baked Highlighter in the shade Peach Lights. You can see I put a concentrated amount on my Cupid's bow before I tap on a little bit of that Over the Moon highlighter on the high points of my cheekbones. To set the entirety of my face, I use the Ofra Makeup Fixer. Use the Tarte Lights Camera and Lashes Mascara. And this is the finished look. The lips are the NYX Lip Lingerie in the shade Embellishment. They're not my favorite formula of lip, but it went well with this look. And then the lashes I'm wearing are from BH Cosmetics in the style Foxy. Thanks for joining me, guys, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye. Hello everyone, and welcome back to my channel. I'm gonna be wow, this sounded like shit. Hello everyone, and welcome back to my channel. It's been, wow, oh my god.